Welcome,
Okay.
Anusha Shah, to Wednesday Weekly Wisdoms, or like I call it now, Wednesday Wisdoms guest edition,
Hmm.
where I bring incredible guests from all around the world, different industries, and they come share their wisdoms gained through their incredible lives. So today I'm really excited to have you on board. Not
Thank
only do
you.
I think you're incredible, and I think we're such dear friends. I hope you'd
Of
see so
course.
too.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited as well. I've been looking forward to it.
Me too. And I can't wait just to hear a bit more about your career because I guess, when you chat to people, you tend to chat about normal life stuff, but actually to hear all about your career and share it with our audience today, the things you've learned along the way, the things that you're really proud of, the things that you hope to do in the future. So it's over to you, really, Anusha. Tell us all about
Wow. So where do I start from? I think a big part of me is where I was born and brought up, really. So Kashmir is a big part of me. It's like I came to UK when I was it was 99. So yeah, 20 something. So no, part of my life was back home in Kashmir. And
it.
Kashmir is an outstandingly beautiful part of the world. And I would say every year I go home and I fall in love with it all over again. So nature has been a very, very big part of my life. Being connected to nature has pretty much driven a lot of the things. And I only realized it a few years ago that it was such a big part of me. So as I was growing up, I would say I was a bit of a tomboy. I used to be out on a cycle all the time. I used to love the outdoors. I would be just take my bike and just roam around, and like I would just leave in the morning. And I was just thinking, my mom was so brave, like those times. It wasn't like, oh, where are you going? It was very safe for some reason. I had a lot of friends, and we would go on cycles and go amongst orchards, and there's beautiful like apple and plum orchards, and we would sometimes steal apple and plum, and we'd see the gardener running behind us, and so my childhood was spent very, very like doing a lot of. I used to play a lot, basically. If I wasn't playing outside my home, I was into sports. Actually, my dad was like, "You should be a sports person because that brings out a lot of it helps you in life." And that time I didn't understand what he meant, but he was very keen that we should get into sports. So and I used to go for 6 months to another place for winter. He would send us, my sister and I, to go for coaching for gymnastics. So which was brilliant. So I won the Jammu and Kashmir, which is my state gymnastic championship when I was in fourth grade.
No,
So of
that's
course, when you
incredible.
look at me now, you will be like, no way.
No, that's so cool though. You're a
So yeah,
gymnastic champion, state level.
yes, I did. So it was brilliant. And then I used to do a lot of roller skating, cycling, competitions, and then got to basketball. So yes, so sports was a big, big part of my life. At some point I just was like, I'm going to be another Nadia Kavensky, and so I want to be a sports person. But as you grew up, and in that time, where in Kashmir it was, if you were not a doctor or an engineer, you hadn't arrived in life. And those were the two main professions.
Yeah.
So as I was growing up, I was like, so what do I do? But somehow architecture seemed quite fascinating.
Yeah.
It looked very glamorous. I was like, oh, architecture is something which
Yeah.
talks about, the environment. So I wanted to do something with the environment, but I didn't know, as you're growing up, you don't know the professions as much.
Well, that's right.
So when I was in my A levels, sorry, GCSE. That time, things in Kashmir weren't all that great politically. So my dad sent me outside to New Delhi. So that's where I did my A levels. So gave my architectural exams. I passed the maths, physics, and analytical abilities. All passed, but failed on the drawing by a few marks. But that was my, what do I say, accidentally fell into civil engineering. And I'm so glad that happened. So it was fascinating. It was just like, so when I was studying civil engineering, I'll be honest with you, it was we were in university, so I was living in a hostel. So I had a lot of engineering friends, but I was always connected to mass communication, media friends, and people from English honors. So I was always kind of connected outside my day job or whatever I was studying, and
Mm.
that's been a theme throughout my life. I've done my day job, but I've always been connected with others, and
Other
that's
thing.
broadened. I now realize that's really helped me broaden my horizons and understand different perspectives from different people. So what has really shaped me also is obviously my family, and each member of my family has been in different professions. My dad was a filmmaker. He was actually the first person who started the film unit in Kashmir in the government, and then rose up to be a joint director. And my mom is a teacher. She taught in my school, in Presentation Convent School, which was an Irish convent in Srinagar, which was the capital city where I'm from, and she won the Best Teachers Award. So she was not only my mom, my teacher as well. And then my elder sister, she did exceedingly well. She's a doctor. She's a doctor here in London as well. And then my younger sister, who was the only topper in our family, she topped English honors and did sociology. Then my brother, who studied in a very good school in India called Doon School, and then went to Xavier's, really good college in Strathclyde here in university, did an MBA. He's an excellent sales director, and he's really good at his job. So all of them, shaped me in different ways because we were all coming from diverse perspectives. And then when I got married, my husband is a marketing specialist. He used to be a vice president for marketing in South Asia and MasterCard, and then moved to London, and now he works for University of East London as director of enterprise, careers enterprise. So he brings in that marketing communication angle. So, and he has influenced a lot of my thinking. He often says that you guys do such impactful work in the built environment, but
Yeah.
you're not very good at telling stories. So I think I kind of learn from my family itself, and I talk about my work, the work I do in built environment, and hear their perspectives
Mm.
because they are part of the community as well. So it's really interesting and enriching to hear what their perspectives are. And even my nephews, like my nephew one is in medicine, and he keeps asking me some challenging question. He's in his second year, and my younger nephew, who's in he's 12-year-old, and he asks the most difficult questions. So what do you do? And then I have to really simplify it for him. So that when you have to start simplifying things of what you do, then that's where my challenge is, like, oh God, how do I explain to a 12-year-old? But then I realized that if you can't convince this 12-year-old what you're doing, that there must be something too complex, and how do you clarify it? So I think that it's very important to keep things simple, and explain in a way that other people who you're connecting with, who you're designing for, also
Yeah.
understand. And of course, there's going to be technical equations and models and standards and
Yeah.
codes. We all know that. Without that, I mean, that's the foundation of what we do. So those not everyone needs to know all that, what happens in that area. But I think when you're communicating to what the outcomes are, it's so important to take everyone through the journey. And I would say that the support I get from my family, everything that I do, my husband, to my family, to my in-laws even, they're very proud of what I'm doing. So, and I have their full support. So I think what is important is not just what you do, it's people around you who back you up, your friends, your network, your family, and they are part of the community. And sometimes we forget as engineers, we are also the consumers. We are building for ourselves, our
Yeah.
families as well. So
Yeah.
what would we want?
Yeah, of
So what would
course.
we want? So I think it's very important to step outside our zone and just empathize with what the rest of the community want us to be designing, and what will work and what won't work. So yes, we
That's
are.
incredible. That's incredible. I love that you cross-pollinate your thinking from your loved ones and those also close to you. But also, it's really good
Mhm.
important to remember that we need people to support our journeys. And your journey is incredible, but you're supported by people. And it's about people finding their own
Totally.
tribes in their own journey to wherever their end goal is. As long as they remember the messages you're sharing with them, and just, think about others, be empathetic and be an engineer, like have the heart of an engineer.
Absolutely. I think you've summed it really well, Ario. Be an engineer with everything that you're trying to do in your heart. So use both your heart and your mind. So I did civil engineering, and then my first job was in sustainability. It was convincing people, basically civil engineers and architects, to use sustainable building materials. So that was, so sustainability and social equity never left my mind, and that's been another theme in my life. And then I wanted to do something around water. Environment was something very, very close to my heart as well. So got a Commonwealth scholarship and came to Surrey, University of Surrey, did my master's here. And then 23, 24 years of my life. So as soon as I finished my master's, I went to Kashmir to work on a lake conservation project. And then again, I think I was a bit like, it was a bit strange that I was an assistant environmental engineer. And it was a very cushy job. I learned a lot, but it was quite cushy. I just felt I needed to learn a bit more. I wanted to be at the deep end. And I did some great projects there, reviving some springs on the lake periphery. It was fascinating. And dealing with Ministry of Environment and Forest at a very young age. But then I was keen to study more and do projects and, really kind of have some more exposure. So anyway, I came to the UK, back to the UK, and yes, then 23, 24 years of working on various projects and programs, some international, some UK based. So yes, it's been fascinating, but it's all been around water, environment, infrastructure, and how we, create better communities in line with nature. And that's been the part of my life, and that's what I always champion.
I love that, because obviously people know you now as the IC president, the president who's pushing natural solutions and the environment, and also connecting with others, and not just connecting through infrastructure, but connecting with the world in a different way. But it's quite clear that even from your own childhood self, this is just your natural inclination, and you've just built a life around what you love. I think there's something incredible.
Absolutely.
Is that something that you think makes you a bit more passionate about what you do, a bit more successful as well? Because you've had such success.
Thanks. I still have a lot to do. So yes, no, I think, when I've got so many roles at the moment, it's my day job at Arcadis as a Senior Director for Resilient Cities and UK Climate Adaptation Lead, or if it's my IC role as a President, then I'm on the non-exec as Met Office as the non-exec Director, Trustee at Green Alliance, and a visiting professor. And people say, gosh, Anusha, how do you fit all this in? But I think, to be honest with you, it doesn't seem like a job anymore, because it's become a part of my life. So all I do is I sit at different forums with different lenses, whether it's climate and science data at Met Office, to my day job, which is very much operational and getting things done, making sure that on projects with clients, or it's an industrial role as a president, or I'm teaching the next generation, or if it's policy at Green Alliance. So it's like looking at the same thing from different lenses. And that really helps me kind of empathize from all angles, and meet so many amazing people and learn from so many amazing people. So I'm constantly learning. I just feel like more than what I'm giving, I'm learning.
That's incredible. So I guess the key thing is that you don't really see those things as different pulls on you, because obviously looking at your calendar, you're very but you don't see these as pulls on you. You see them as almost like the same thing, but through different lenses. Do you think that's the key thing that we all have to find
I think that, if you saw my presidential film Ikigai 2024, that's what it's about. How do you find your purpose in life? What gets you out of bed every morning? And I've seen that that's the sweet spot. So what I'm doing for driving the industry to really think of keeping nature and people at the heart of infrastructure projects is what I would do in my life anyway. My faith is quite strong. I'm a Muslim, and I believe in my faith a lot. And our religion says the same thing, ultimately, and all religions say it, right? Really, how you look after people, how you are kind to people, and how you're kind to your natural resources, and how you leave the world in a better shape than how you found it. So I think that's the basic tenet, and I see it very simply, and there's a lot of clarity in my mind of what I need to do. So luckily, I'm very, very fortunate that the opportunities I'm getting is completely in line with my ethos in life. and that's who I am now. So it makes it very easy, and all the connections that I make or engagements I have, that kind of reinforces the message and just shows me where the problems are,
Mm.
and where are the gaps, or where are the opportunities. And then, how do you map it out? I wish I had this giant map in my mind and AI could help me of all those connections I've made over the years. I worked in India, in Delhi, in Kashmir. I worked here. I worked on a project for Saudi Arabia. I worked, so it's like, how do you, and the people I've met. But I've realized one thing, regardless of the geography, regardless of where you are, people are the same. People are just the same, to be honest with you. It's all people want is to lead a happy and healthy life,
Yeah.
and a meaningful life where they're happy with their families, and they have a good standard of life and quality of life. And that's what matters. But I think somewhere it becomes so complex,
Mm.
and people start thinking so much of their own family and own self. Sometimes they forget they are connected to the rest
Yeah.
of the world as well. So I think if you're empathetic to who you're connected with, and you might not get a gold standard, but sometimes you have to compromise a little so someone else can have a little better life as well. So I think it's that philosophy that not just think of self.
You're an engineer, and I think you embody engineering beliefs because engineers are about making the world better for everyone. And I think the modern engineer is doing it in a way that's more sustainable than ever in the past. But
Hmm.
when I think it through the lens of what you're saying, your sustainability is like the heart of you. It's like emotional. It's like a very much like
Yeah.
your why, your reason for being. And you clearly
Right.
have that all your life. And you can see
Mhm.
that everything you do is in alignment. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm sure there's more ease because you have that
Absolutely.
clarity of
Hmm.
being. Why are you in each room? Why are you having every engagement? Why are you involved in anything? But for people listening to this who, they look up to you, you're incredible, but they're like, how do
Mhm.
they find their purpose, their reason for being, their faith that will help them in this navigating what can seem complex? You've made the complex seem simple because you have purpose. But how do they do the
Mhm.
same?
I think it's the journey. It's the experiences you have. I'm still, it's not that I've reached the end of my journey, the goal is done. I think I'm not sure how much I can do with the little time I have left in the world, is whether I can do all of it, or whether I can do small steps, or, so I'm still figuring out.
Mhm.
And so it's a journey. I think, so people are on different paths and different journeys, and it all depends on what experiences in life you have, and
Mm.
how people you meet and how they influence you. I think I would say that people need to think a bit deeply about purpose. And that
Mm.
purpose could be anything. See, my purpose is around this. But some people are very clear on they want to work with people who are differently able to live a
Mm.
good quality of life, and they just focus on that thing, right? Or
Mm.
some people, their focus is just, they want to read all the books in the world or travel around the world, which I want to do as well, actually travel around the world, which I don't get enough time for. And some people are really driven by making money,
Mm.
and for something they enjoy. But I think all I would say is whatever your path in life is, think deeply, as
Mm.
long as it's not harming people in nature. Because
Mm.
we're all interconnected, because we've seen during COVID, if one
Yeah.
person is unwell, the whole world is unwell. We're all
Yeah.
connected in one way or the other, and what impacts one impacts the whole ecosystem. So think deeply about that. And, if you're not doing things to better it, but please don't harm it. You know, don't do things. Don't Money won't give you everything. And I'm not saying money is not important. Absolutely, money drives it's the engine of how we
Mm.
all lead our lives. But all I'm saying is, but not at the cost of other people, not at the cost of environment, because as we know, for every morsel of food we eat, for every drop of water we drink, for every molecule of oxygen we breathe, we depend
Mm.
on nature.
Yes.
So all the money in the world and something that you will not be on this planet anymore. What's the
No.
point of all that money? Or I can say that, during COVID, we saw no amount of money saved people.
No.
They had the money. There's so many people, they didn't have access to oxygen cylinders. They could have bought oxygen cylinders, but they couldn't because there wasn't access. We weren't geared up. The systems weren't geared up to save them. So I think money is important, but there are other things in this world that we should start valuing more.
Yeah.
It's things like, it's kindness, it's empathy, it's making others equally happy as you do. And all religions teaches us, like, be good to your neighbors as you do to
Yeah.
yourself, or be good to your
Absolutely.
relatives and friends. So I think that faith, and we should bring that faith in our professions, because we spend maximum time in our professions.
Yeah, we
And
do.
what you do shapes the world around you. So we
Yeah.
shape the infrastructure,
Yeah,
but
we
there are
do.
teachers, there are legal professionals, there are financial professionals, but they're all connected and they all benefit the world we live in. So I think
Mm.
if you have your basics clear,
Mm.
and challenge the system. If something's forcing you to do that which is against your values, start challenging it.
Mm.
It's not always easy, and I understand that. And the systems we built are very complex. It's never this black and white. But I think we should start making an effort. And the more
Yeah.
we start talking about these things, and the more we start relating these aspects to our professions, the better. Because, we always talk about, say, for us engineers, we know how to do technical work,
We do.
we are
Yeah.
good at it. We know how to work on commercial aspects.
Mm.
We all work on projects. We know procurement, we know contracts, we know specifications and standards, and we are constantly improving them. So I think there are people who are working on it, and we absolutely need it. But I would say this part of our profession, of the philosophy behind our profession, is not talked about enough. It's not shared enough. And I think this is not soft skills, and this is not something soft and on the side.
No,
This is
absolutely not.
fundamental. This
I
is
agree.
fundamental. And I
Mm.
think if you bring it to the core, you will
Mm.
see suddenly people will be interested in engineering, because that's what we do. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
that
absolutely.
we're not making it up. That's exactly what we do. So I think we need to articulate it clearly and simply, what we do. And
Mm.
also, sometimes we might not be the best communicators. So I would say, bring people like you who can communicate better, who can actually say it in a fun way and in an
Mm.
engaging way, or use other mediums. It could be art, it could be fashion, it could be
Mm.
other, bring art into engineering. So you actually basically communicate in a way that people understand. So you have a
Yeah.
wider reach. So then you will say, suddenly we don't have a problem with skills, because people just are thronging to join our profession.
There's no skill shortage, which maybe not just appealing enough. Like when you speak like this, what it sounds to me is that humanity of being an engineer, the heart of being an engineer,
Totally.
the bring yourself to work piece that we talk about. And I think you've written
Mhm.
articles about, diversity, but actually it's
Yes.
diversity of thought, diversity of like who you are. But obviously
Hmm.
a lot of people are different in external ways, but they don't bring that difference in the
Hmm.
way they think, they feel, they experience the world. And that's almost like the creative piece you're talking about, working with art. But I think we're all
Yeah,
creative, but often, just like you said, we
exactly.
put our faith here, we put our values here, we put our creativity here, and we come to
Mm.
work and we're engineers. But what I hear you saying is bring it all together. And that's the connection,
Absolutely.
isn't it? Like it was perfect in your presidential video. And if anyone's not seen it, is listening to this, go watch it. Because that video, literally, I was doing everything not to cry. I was like, my makeup cannot do with tears. But it was so heartwarming. And I think if more and more
Thank you.
people realize that what we do is about nature, it's about something that you see. Like we go for walks, we go out in nature, we see our neighbors. It's about that piece.
Mhm.
We won't have a
Mhm.
problem in selling what we do anymore because it'll be so obvious.
Exactly. We are designing, we're planning the built environment. We plan transport, we plan houses, we plan how spaces are there, places between these infrastructure elements, the bridges, the rail. But we can do all of it, and we can do it better. And it's so exciting. And I tell this to the future, like the students and everyone. This is the most exciting time to be a civil engineer, because you have the power to redesign the places which were not designed for everyone in the first place. Now everyone can enjoy, because of the current infrastructure, a lot of us have put a lot of blockers for people who are not enjoying. So some people who are, you know, abled and they can enjoy it, but people who are differently able struggle.
Yeah.
People who are neurodivergent struggle with the way spaces are created. And I completely understand you can't design every place for everyone. But as long as you identify who you haven't designed for and you've mitigated those aspects or you've communicated those aspects, it's just a sigh of relief,
Yeah.
So, but don't ignore the people you haven't
Consideration.
designed for.
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
we definitely need to have more consideration. But you challenge industry too, because engineers are often told sustainability is the three pillars you learn at universities, the environment, the economy, and social. But you almost
Mhm.
challenge us to weight that pyramid differently. So have you
Absolutely.
challenged in first of all, you're leading in climate resilience at Arcadis, you're at the Met Office,
Mm.
you're a professor at university.
Mm.
Do you face challenge in the spaces you're in as you challenge people to weight the, I guess, the financial differently than they're historically used to?
Yes, I think there are people that said, like, Anusha, it's all well and good to say this, but we all have to, this is a business and we have to make money. And then I give them so many examples where thinking this way will give you more business. We've seen so many places where they have included nature-based solutions have suddenly shot up the prices on properties. So there's an economic case as well. And people are wanting it more. People want more blue-green spaces. People want to live places which are open and where they can have clean air. So what's not to like? Nature-based solutions gives you multiple benefits. It slows the water when it's time of flooding. It cleans the air. It's good for health and well-being. It helps capture carbon. It helps with both capturing carbon and also helping to build resilience against flooding and heat wave and other things. In an urban setting, if you have a blue-green roof, you know that it's going to help with urban heat island. And we see the temperatures are soaring,
Yeah, we
So
saw it
you've
last
got
summer,
these
didn't we?
solutions. Like they say, nature hasn't given you an invoice, but it's still ready to help you. It's still ready to give you multiple benefits, but you have to work with nature.
Yeah,
So I think it's about leveraging the power of nature.
yeah,
But where you can't, then you obviously blend it with the traditional grey infrastructure. And then when you can't, you just build the business as usual grey infrastructure, but use low carbon concrete where you can. And then only then use concrete, the traditional concrete. But in all this, we are at a time where we have got the power of digital and data analytics and AI and IoT and you name it.
yeah,
We've got the tools and processes to help us speed it up. So I think as long as you use technology for good, you're on the right track. So it's exciting. It's technology is there. It's people's values, pulling the people's values, technology, the solutions, the technological solutions. And where we can't, send it to the R&D. Professors and students and people are looking for those projects where they want to work on and
yeah,
crack a solution. And where you don't have a solution, you find another way. So,
yeah,
that's where our minds should be. But I think,
yeah.
unfortunately, currently we are just so caught up in this whole look around the world, the news. It's depressing. It's depressing, and I hate to say it. You watch some government sessions, whether it's in this country or everywhere. People are
Mm.
just bickering with each other.
Yeah.
They're just wasting time talking about things that don't matter, trying to pull each other down. Is that important?
Yes.
I mean, I don't understand. Someone, I
Oh,
think once I was, a
this is
few
very
people said to me, so
refreshing.
would you want to join politics? And I was like, no, not how it is currently. Never. Because I think I'm not saying that they do some amazing work as well. That's how the country runs. So let's give them the credit where it's due. But I think a lot of their time is unfortunately spent in pulling each other's parties down. And I think we don't have the time. We have to all pull up, like socks together to really deal
Yeah.
with things that matter.
I
So I
guess the
think,
environment and
yeah,
nature is above all that, isn't it? And
exactly.
we need to think in the map,
Space.
and we're very
Mm.
much because of election
Yeah.
cycles, party politics, and even like organizations' business cases and end of year targets and stakeholders. We kind of think in the micro, and you're trying to get
Yeah.
us to be in the macro and in the heights, in the heavens.
And
So
the real thing, and of course, all this micro needs to be done as well, because that's how the whole, it'll be a well-oiled machinery if our outcomes are very clear. But I think what we are trying to do is we're trying to say all this, That
Yeah.
yes, we want to be sustainable. Yes, we want to, you know, reach net zero target, and we want to be climate resilient, and we want biodiversity net gain, and we want social equity. But then the models we are working with, the processes we're working with, the frameworks, everything is still old, and we're tinkering around the edges. And
Tinkering
that
around.
obviously all this doesn't fit in with that. And it creates chaos, it creates confusion. I think I wish where we would spend our energy is that are there certain things that we fundamentally need to change
Yeah.
to match where we are trying to go? And just imagine if all the organizations, whether it's the regulator, whether it's the clients, whether it's the whole supply chain, it's the government, are all pulling towards something that we all are bought into that vision.
Yeah. Like
But
we
I
have
think
one
it's
common vision.
we have a one common vision, and I think, to be fair, it is all over on policy documents. And you
Yeah.
know, if you pick any document for any organization, they say all these things. You have to be sustainable, resilient, inclusive, all this stuff. But then the second layer down, the processes, the things
Mm.
that make things happen, are still old school, are still things
Mm.
that are the biggest blockers. And the
Mm.
mindsets of certain people, because they want to do something which they've been doing for ages. So the change, bringing about the change, is a bit hard. But I think so to get the chaotic landscape into something more clear. As someone said, I think it was Brenny Brown, and my very dear friend Joe Jolly shared that with us on the Interchange conference, was clear is kind and unclear is unkind. So I
Is it?
think people need clarity on where we're going. You can't say this and then, you know, flip flop and change it.
Mm.
Where are we going as a country? Where are we going as a nation? Where are we going as a world?
Globe.
But having said that, I see some great pockets of work. You know, there's some people, amazing work is happening around there. So it's connecting to the right places, and no country, no region has it all sorted. Trust
No.
me, I've been traveling around as of in my presidential year.
Yes.
I've been to Southeast Asia, to Dubai, to China, and every place has their own challenges. But some things they're doing very well, some things they're really struggling with, and that's the situation everywhere.
Mm.
But I think what would really help is learning from each other, bringing the best from each other, and collectively as a humans, you know, as humanity, come together and focus on this rather than, I would say, wars and other things which are so unnecessary.
I think if we can
Yeah,
focus on positive, that help our neighbor, help our community, help nature, well, at least not make it worse,
exactly.
and look after our planet and have that
Yeah,
vision with a process that maybe supports a paradigmic shift to doing things differently to actually achieve the outcomes collectively, we could
exactly.
do it. So if anyone's listening, because this is the thing I love to kind of end each podcast interview with, like 3 wisdoms you would share that maybe would inspire people, be a call to action, or just something that you reflected on from your own journey, which has been really fun to listen to. I would never have thought Anusha the tomboy. Fantastic. I have new.
Exactly. Sis. So yeah, I never thought that I would start talking something more sane when I grow up, because I was just in my own little world. But I would say, especially for the professionals, I would start with professionals, because if it's our industry. I think we have the power to really think not just about sustainable solutions. It's about regenerating and recovering nature. We have the tools. We just need to change our mindset. And I would say, you know, I'm so happy that I've been receiving a lot of books. Like when I was in Hong Kong, we received a book on resilient cities. People have started gifting me books, and I need time to read it. And I've got something from Ollie Broadbent, who's written on regenerative design. So people are writing about these things. Or I've got a book here from Dr. Mandeep Rai on the value compass. I'm so looking forward to reading it. It's about how all the countries view value. So it's about bringing it all together. And so I think I would say professionals think about regenerating nature and reviving nature, not just being in harmony, not just being sympathetic to nature. But I think for the rest of the world who are not in this profession, or they're in different professions, please think of people and nature at the heart of it. I think we need their help as well. Even medical doctors, for example, you know, they are treating health of patients and and they are doing it, actually recommending more blue green spaces, healthy living,
Yeah.
and that's a part of all this. all lawyers who are looking at cases, please put environment at the heart of it. Financial professionals, you know it makes good business sense. Environment makes good business sense. Bring it to the fore. Or any other profession. I think it will take all of us to do this because on one hand it's very complex, but on the other hand, if all hands on deck, we can make it. So I would say that's the message. And the second message I would say is please, please be empathetic. And there are no population in the world who are subhuman. We are all equal.
Yeah.
Have that fairness in your mind that, if someone is hurting in the rest of the world, we are all hurting. And I am currently hurting with what's happening around the world. I'm really, really hurting. And I wish I could help, but I'm trying to do in my own little ways. And that's all we can do in our sphere of influence. And third, I would say in all this, have fun. It's exciting. It's good fun, what's not to like about it? You meet such amazing people in this whole process. And yeah, have fun whilst you're doing it.
I love that. As I just want to summarize that. So regenerate, actually make things better. Be empathetic and treat everyone like a human and have fun. And it seems that you've been having fun from the start of your journey all the way to here. And your values are something you live, breathe, and it's just so visible for everyone and it's inspirational. And hopefully all those who are listening will take that on board and they'll think about even when it's challenging, even when it's difficult, that they live their values and they do what's right always, even when it's not
Thank
easy.
you. Thank
Thank
you,
you
Ayo.
so
It's
much.
not easy. I want to end with actually one of my
Oh,
favorite people in the world and authors is Maya Angelou. And I love what she says in a very simple way. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better.
oh, yes. I think those words always resonate with me. You can only do what you can do when you can do it, but when you know better, you always do better. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I can't
Thank you
wait to
so
see what
much,
you
Ayo.
do the rest of your presidential year, as well as all the other spaces you have epic influence. And of course, you have my help.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you so much for having me here and well done for everything that you're doing, Ayo. Brilliant.